Welcome. Today I was perusing through YouTube watching random shit I find on there, and I saw a video of a guy going out in public areas with a big ass sign and a table that usually says something controversial followed with a "change my mind," and he was out there just to argue, have a conversation, try to get people to change his perspective, talk about these really sensitive topics, and I eventually stumbled on a video called "Why Gender Pronouns Matter," and it really gave me a good laugh because, personally, I think gender pronouns are stupid and just dumb shit that people like to get mad over. And this video is probably going to get dislike bombed by all the professional Twitter users and Redditors out there who puts, well, Reddit doesn't have bios, but Twitter users who put fucking pronouns in their bio. But I'm doing it anyways because this is my opinion, even though, opinions are a lost art on the internet, and they think anyone who has opinions gets sent straight to hell. So, let's get after it.
Just because I may present more femme doesn't mean that I'm any less they, them.
I'm gonna stop it right there. This is a stupid argument to make anyway, so I'm just gonna drop one of these bad boys. Holy fuck, look at that ratio, Jesus Christ. God damn, 29k dislikes to 4k likes. That is great to see. I feel confident now because at least now I know people know that this is a stupid topic.
You know what, that thing where you're eating a meal but you're not really eating a meal, you're just kind of picking at food on the counter?
I don't know.
My family and I were doing that one night, and I just kind of looked at them and said, "Hey guys, I'm non-binary. I don't have a gender."
Okay. Nobody asked.
In my opinion, gender is a universe. It is a broad spectrum of planets and stars and sky that truly cannot be contained into a binary.
Here's the problem with that analogy. The universe is finite. Yeah, it's fucking massive and there's like trillions of stars in the universe, but in the end, it's still finite. Which means, according to your logic, there's a finite amount of genders. So go ahead, list out all the genders and maybe I'll believe you.
My pronouns are they, them, theirs, and that's a non-negotiable. And they were all kind of like, okay.
What's wrong with that response? That seems like a pretty normal response to me.
I think one of the main reasons pronouns are so important is because other than our name, it's one of the main ways that people identify and call us.
Yeah, but people don't ask for your pronouns when starting up a conversation. Asking for your name is pretty normal because it's a thing you can refer to them in any situation at any time. I damn well know you don't go out and if you all of a sudden need to talk to someone for any reason, you don't start with, "Hey, what's your pronouns?" Like, that's not normal. You just come off as a maniac.
I was always uncomfortable with being called dude, what's up, man?
I mean, alright. If you're uncomfortable with the current situation, then just leave. It's not like you're being forced and held at gunpoint to stay there.
I was so bad at dapping people up, how guys do that whole like that thing. I was so bad at that, and it just I felt very alienated every time someone would do that to me.
But why? I mean, it's not that hard. You clearly did something wrong if you feel alienated if someone tried to dab you up. Or if you actually felt really uncomfortable, you could have just said, "Hey, I don't really do that," or maybe, "Look, man, I don't feel comfortable with you calling me dude or man." What's the problem? You're making a big deal out of literally nothing.
So when someone identifies with a pronoun, they're essentially taking their little piece of that broad universe and identifying with that.
Well, they sunk their own battleship. Alright, let's say the Earth is a pronoun among every other cosmic body that also represents pronouns. Do you know how insignificant Earth is in the grand scheme of things? As far as the universe is concerned, we do not matter. We could explode right now and the universe would not care, which is a perfect comparison to make to pronouns. Insignificant. It does not matter. At least come up with better analogies if you want to argue this topic.
Coming into terms with my gender queer identity has been one of the most challenging but also rewarding things that I've done.
Well, yeah, I can respect him for that. Just to be clear, I'm not here to hate on these people for being trans. I really don't care. I mean, I can respect you just like anyone else. You could be a fucking alien and I'll still move on with my day. It's this stupid mentality that if you don't use the correct pronoun, you get sent straight to hell, and it's somehow disrespectful, as if I'm supposed to memorize what everyone identifies as on top of their name. Isn't just using their name enough? What's wrong with that?
Laverne Cox
Never heard of her.
kind of famously said, misgendering a trans person is an act of violence. And it is. It's an act of psychological violence.
My ass it is. You go find me one person who's been incarcerated for using the wrong pronouns when referring to a person, and maybe I'll reconsider my perspective. You cannot sit there and look me in the eyes and tell me that you can go to jail for not knowing a person's pronoun, or maybe just getting it wrong because you're meeting for the first time.
And so it is something that is entirely wrapped around our everyday lives. So just walking into a restaurant and hearing someone say she, like, will happen within 2 seconds of me entering, which doesn't happen about any of my other identities. They're not gonna be like, oh, you straight person, you know, like that doesn't happen.
You wanna know why? Because nobody gives a fuck on if you're straight, gay, bisexual, pansexual, homo, it doesn't matter. Nobody gives a shit. If you're like hanging out with people that make a big deal because you prefer to be this pronoun instead of that pronoun, then you're hanging out with the wrong people. They're gonna see you as a human being either way, and that's how it should be, especially with pronouns. You don't need all these pronouns that look like they came from a goddamn alien language to have other people see you as human.
But automatically someone will make assumptions about gender, which
No fucking shit we're gonna make assumptions. If a guy breaks into said restaurant with a ski mask, a bag with a money sign on it, and he's holding out a gun pointing at the dude behind the cash register asking for all the money, then you're gonna assume that that guy's a robber. You're not gonna walk up to him and be like, maybe it's just a guy going through a schizophrenic episode. Also, what the fuck do you mean people call you she within 2 seconds of walking into a restaurant? I'm pretty sure a waiter, it's like common practice. Like a waiter is gonna seat you and she wants to be polite, so she's gonna say ma'am or sir. And then you could just follow up with, hey, I'm uncomfortable with ma'am. Yeah, I prefer to be called by he, they, whatever the fuck you use. And it's not like the whole restaurant is gonna start looking at you the second you enter like you're on a runway. Quit trying to make this a bigger deal than it is.
I think a lot of people associate expression with identity, and sometimes that's not the case. You know, oftentimes I'm in situations where I'm not the most safe being able to express my gender identity, and in those cases, even in those instances where I'm wearing basketball shorts or sneakers.
Since when was basketball shorts and sneakers gendered?
You can't take my gender identity away from me because that's mine and not yours.
Why do you need someone else's confirmation to tell you who you are? These guys come in with the notion that if people don't call them by the quote-unquote correct pronouns, then they aren't who they believe they are. Y'all ever heard the phrase, don't listen to others who try to put you down? I'm sure you have, so why do you need other people to confirm that you are he, she, they, all the pronouns, if you truly believe that you are who you believe you are?
So many different options for who you are and how to define that. So when someone chooses a personal pronoun that they identify with, using that pronoun is a form of respect and a form of validation.
Validation of what? To validate the fact that you need pronouns to be yourself? That's incredibly pathetic. Once again, you don't need other people to refer to you as specific pronouns to validate that you are whatever you consider yourself as. I'm sure you tell other people not to be insecure, and yet here you are advocating for the complete opposite.
I know personally when I get misgendered, by strangers it's one thing, but it's especially painful when it's people who are close to you. So when my parents misgender me, it's a knife in my heart because they're the people whose opinions matter more to me than anybody else's.
Well, at least she has some brain cells. At least she can differentiate people not knowing your pronouns and people who should know your pronouns, such as, friends, family. That's the only point I agree with here, so I can respect that.
and not knowing how to combat it. It is constant, and it is such a prevalent part of our society that being misgendered happens countless times in a day, and that builds up really quickly, and it can really be difficult for a person to hear over and over again because it invalidates your identity.
Back to this again. Why do you need other people to validate your identity for you? It just does not make sense. This just shows insecurity more than anything, and I'm pretty sure these are the same types of people who go on Twitter preaching about loving yourself and how you should have a good self-image of yourself.
Pronouns are important because they are the smallest and easiest way that you can acknowledge somebody's identity.
Right, and being the smallest also means it matters the least. This is common sense, guys, come on.
And I also don't like that people call them their preferred pronouns, because it's also not a preference.
But it is.
So when someone chooses a personal pronoun, it's who they are.
Your definition of who they are is who they think they are, which is perfectly fine. Like, you can believe you're you can believe you're fucking Superman if you wanted to. But you can't fault someone for calling you the wrong pronoun if all they have to go off of is your physical self. If I see a person walking down the street and I want to get his or her attention, and she's like clearly dressed like a female, I'm gonna think, hey, that's probably a female. Like, what? How else am I supposed to know? I'm not gonna walk over and pull down her pants just to check if she has a dick or not.
You need to use those pronouns. It's literally an extension of my arm or my leg.
Those are called deformities.
It's just as a part of me as a vital organ. My identity, although you can't see it, still needs to be validated.
The word you're looking for is acknowledge, not validated. Nobody needs to validate something for you. That's for you to do. People can acknowledge that you have a preferred pronoun, but nobody needs to validate it.
Just as much as you would validate the fact that I have 5 fingers or 5 toes.
Guess what the cool thing is? We're taught that you're supposed to have only 5 fingers on each arm. Any less and any more is called abnormality. So if you're comparing pronouns to the fact that you have 5 fingers, that means any extra pronouns are abnormal, according to that analogy. Well, that's about it for today. Gender pronouns is a dumb debate, and I thought it'd be fun to look at this video and just talk about it, because this topic literally holds no value in society, and a majority of these people agree. The people in this video are the same people who think their whole lives are defined by a couple of words, which is pretty sad if you think about it. These people literally create problems out of nothing. So yeah, real shit video. I think gender pronouns are dumb. Cancel me if you want, but that's just my opinion. Take it easy, everyone.